My name is Lacey Morgan and I trusted the wrong man with my heart. What his friends did to me at my engagement party was unforgivable. But what he did afterward that destroyed me completely. Before I tell you how I got my revenge, hit that like button and tell me in the comments where you're watching from. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this ends. Tyler seemed perfect when we met at college, tall, charming, popular with everyone. He was studying business while I focused on art. Our first date was magical dinner at this cozy Italian place where he listened to me talk about my paintings for hours. His blue eyes sparkled when he laughed and I fell hard. We'd been together for 3 years when he proposed. I thought I knew him completely. I thought his friends were just immature college guys who'd grow up eventually. I was so wrong about everything. If you like our revenge stories, please subscribe for more. We drop powerful news stories every week, filled with truth, emotion, and justice. Don't miss the next one. And remember, some stories hurt, but they heal too. Subscribe now and join the journey. Looking back, there were red flags everywhere. Tyler's friends, Blake, Austin, and Connor, never liked me. They thought I was too serious, too focused on my art. Blake would make snide comments about my paintings being weird. Austin would roll his eyes when I talked about gallery exhibitions I wanted to attend. Connor was the worst. He'd make jokes about Tyler settling down too young and needing to live a little before getting tied down. Tyler would laugh these comments off, saying they were just joking around. They'll come around, he'd promise me. They just need time to get used to the idea of me being serious about someone. I wanted to believe him so badly. I ignored the way they'd exclude me from group conversations. I pretended it didn't hurt when they planned guys' nights that lasted entire weekends. I told myself that Tyler choosing me over them proved his love. I should have trusted my instincts. When Tyler proposed on Valentine's Day, I was over the moon. The ring was beautiful, a vintage sapphire surrounded by tiny diamonds. We decided to have our engagement party at his parents' house in June. They had a gorgeous backyard with a pool and plenty of space for all our friends and family. Tyler's mom, Patricia, was thrilled about the engagement. She'd always been kind to me, unlike his friends. I'm so happy Tyler found someone who balances him. She told me while we planned the party, "You bring out his thoughtful side." We invited about 50 people, family, college friends, and co-workers. I was nervous about his friends being there, but Tyler assured me they'd behave. "It's our engagement party," he said. "They'll be respectful." I spent weeks planning every detail. I wanted everything perfect. The decorations, the food, the music. This was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives so far. Instead, it became my worst nightmare. If you like our revenge stories, please subscribe for more. We drop powerful new stories every week filled with truth, emotion, and justice. Don't miss the next one. And remember, some stories hurt, but they heal too. Subscribe now and join the journey. Tyler's family lived in an upscale suburb outside Chicago. His dad, William, owned a successful construction company. His mom, Patricia, worked as a real estate agent. They lived in a beautiful colonial house with perfectly manicured gardens that his mom tended herself. When Tyler first brought me home to meet them, I was terrified. My own family was middle class. My dad worked at the post office. My mom taught elementary school. I worried they'd think I wasn't good enough for their son. But Patricia welcomed me with open arms. She showed me photo albums of Tyler as a kid, embarrassing him with stories about his little league days. William was quieter but kind, asking about my art with genuine interest. Tyler's never brought a girl home before. Patricia whispered to me during that first visit, "You must be special." His younger sister Amy, home from her freshman year at Northwestern, immediately bonded with me over our shared love of vintage fashion. She became like the sister I never had. Tyler's friend group had been tight since freshman year. Blake was the unofficial leader, confident, loud, always the center of attention at parties. He came from old money and never let anyone forget it. Austin was his sidekick, agreeing with everything Blake said. Connor was the joker, always pushing boundaries with his humor. They called themselves the Brotherhood and had matching tattoos on their shoulders. A stupid inside joke from sophomore year. Tyler got his after a night of heavy drinking, something he later regretted but couldn't take back. When Tyler started dating me seriously, the dynamic shifted. Suddenly, he wasn't available for every party or spontaneous road trip. He'd choose dinner with me over guys' night sometimes. They resented this change and they resented me for causing it. Blake would make comments like, "Remember when Tyler was fun?" Austin would suggest activities they knew I wouldn't enjoy, trying to force Tyler to choose. Connor would joke about me being Tyler's ball and chain. Tyler would defend me but never strongly enough. As our relationship deepened, the tension with his friends grew worse. They'd plan elaborate guys' weekends during important events in my life. When I had my first art show at a local gallery, Blake organized a camping trip the same weekend. Tyler went on the trip. "It was planned months ago," he explained. "You understand, right?" I didn't understand. I was heartbroken. Only 3 people came to my art show. My parents and my best friend Chloe. I sold 2 small paintings and should have been celebrating. Instead, I sat alone in my apartment, wondering why my boyfriend's friends mattered more than my dreams. When Tyler returned from the camping trip, he was full of apologies and promises to do better. He bought me flowers and took me to an expensive restaurant. "Next time, will be different," he swore. But there was always a next time, always another guy's event that took priority, always. Another reason why I had to be understanding and flexible, while his friends never had to compromise. I started feeling like I was competing for my own boyfriend's attention. Despite everything, when Tyler proposed, I said yes immediately. He'd planned this elaborate surprise at the art museum where we'd had our first official date. He'd somehow arranged for the gallery to stay open late just for us. We stood in front of my favorite painting, a beautiful landscape by a local artist, when he dropped to one knee. "Leslie, you make me want to be a better man," he said, his voice shaking with emotion. "Will you marry me?" The ring was perfect. Later I learned he'd consulted with my best friend Chloe, and even my mom to get it right. In that moment, surrounded by art in the quiet gallery, everything else faded away. His friends, negativity, the constant tension, all of it seemed unimportant. "Yes," I whispered through happy tears. "Yes, of course." We celebrated with champagne and talked about our future until the museum security guard finally had to kick us out. Tyler was romantic and attentive, everything I'd fallen in love with 3 years earlier. I thought the proposal would change everything. I thought his friends would finally accept that I was permanent. The months after our engagement were blissful. We looked at venues for the wedding, talked about honeymoon destinations, and started combining our book collections in Tyler's apartment. His friends seemed to back off a little, maybe finally accepting that I wasn't going anywhere. Patricia was thrilled to help plan the engagement party. "I've been dreaming of this since Tyler was little," she admitted. "I always hoped he'd find someone who truly understood." Odi him. We decided on a garden party theme with string lights, fresh flowers, and a mix of appetizers and desserts. I made a playlist of our favorite songs, including the one that was playing during our first dance at our friend's wedding. Tyler seemed excited too. He helped address invitations and even suggested adding some of my college friends to the guest list. "I want everyone important to us to be there," he said. I should have paid more attention to the look that passed between Blake and Connor when we announced the party date. I should have noticed Austin's smirk when Tyler mentioned how excited I was about the celebration, but I was too happy to see warning signs. The morning of our engagement party was perfect. Sunny 75 with a gentle breeze that made the decorations dance. Patricia and I spent the morning setting up while Tyler and his dad handled the bar area and sound system. I wore a flowing yellow sundress that Tyler had complimented when I bought it. My hair was styled in soft waves, and I felt beautiful and confident. This was supposed to be our moment, celebrating our love with everyone who mattered to us. My parents arrived early to help with final preparations. My mom immediately started rearranging the dessert table to her satisfaction while my dad tested the microphone for toasts. Chloe came with her boyfriend Mike, both excited to celebrate with us, as guests began arriving, the backyard filled with laughter and conversation. Tyler's work colleagues mingled with my college friends. His grandparents chatted with my parents about wedding plans. Everything was going perfectly. Then, Blake, Austin, and Connor arrived, and I noticed they seemed unusually excited about something. They kept whispering among themselves and checking their phones. I had no idea they'd planned something that would destroy my life. The party was in full swing when Blake called for everyone's attention. "Hey everybody, before we do the official toasts, we have a little surprise for the happy couple." Tyler looked confused, but smiled. "What kind of surprise?" Connor pulled out a laptop and Austin started connecting it to the outdoor speaker system. "Just a little video we put together," Blake announced with a grin that should have terrified me. some memories of Tyler's single days that we thought everyone should see. My stomach dropped. Tyler's face went pale. "Guys, what are you doing?" But it was too late. The video started playing on a makeshift screen they'd set up. At first it was harmless. College photos of Tyler and his friends at parties, silly moments from spring break trips. Everyone laughed and cheered. Then the tone shifted. The photos became more recent and more inappropriate. Pictures of Tyler at bachelor parties I didn't know about, videos of him flirting with other women at bars, screenshots of text messages where he complained about me being too clingy and dramatic. The backyard fell silent, except for the horrible video playing for everyone to see. The video got progressively worse. There were photos of Tyler with other women, not just casual party pictures, but intimate moments that made my heart shatter. Pictures of him kissing someone at Austin's birthday party last month. A video of him dancing with a blonde woman. At a bar, his hands all over her while Blake recorded and laughed. But the absolute worst part was the audio they'd recorded without Tyler knowing, conversations where he complained about me to his friends. "She's so boring sometimes." I heard him say always wants to stay in and paint instead of having fun. "Lizzie thinks we're getting married because I love her." His voice continued over a particularly damaging photo. "But honestly, I'm just tired of looking for something better. She's safe, predictable." The words hit me like physical blows. 50 people, our families, friends, coworkers, were witnessing my complete humiliation. I could see my parents' shocked faces, Patricia's hand covering her mouth in horror. Chloe starting to move toward me with tears in her eyes. Tyler finally found his voice. "Turn it off. Turn it off right now." But the damage was already done. Everyone had seen and heard everything. The video finally stopped, leaving us in crushing silence. Tyler rushed toward the laptop, his face red with anger and embarrassment. "Blake, what the hell is wrong with you?" "Just having some fun, man," Blake said. But even he looked uncomfortable with how far they'd gone, showing everyone the real Tyler before he gets all domesticated. This was Tyler's moment, his chance to defend me, to show everyone that what they'd seen wasn't who he really was. I looked at him desperately, waiting for him to fix this, to make it right somehow. Instead, he looked around at all the staring faces and said the words that ended our relationship. "Look, some of that stuff was taken out of context. Guys say stupid things when they're drunk, out of context. Not, it was all lies. Not, I never meant any of it. Not, I love Lizzie and these idiots crossed a line." He was making excuses, minimizing, trying to save face with everyone instead of protecting me. My mom appeared at my side, her arm around my shoulders. "Lizzie, honey, let's go." Inside, but I couldn't move. I was frozen, staring at the man I'd planned to marry. The party ended quickly after that. People made awkward excuses and left in small groups, whispering among themselves. I watched our guests, people who were supposed to celebrate our love, leave with expressions of pity and second-hand embarrassment. Tyler's parents were mortified. Patricia kept apologizing, tears streaming down her face. "I'm so sorry. Lizzie, this is not how we raised him. This is not who he is." But maybe it was who he was. Maybe I've been seeing only what I wanted to see for 3 years. Tyler tried to approach me several times, but I couldn't bear to look at him. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard his voice, saying I was safe and predictable, that he was just tired of looking for something better. My parents drove me home in silence. Chloe followed us, staying with me that night as I cried until I had no tears left. She held me while I sobbed, not saying anything because there was nothing to say. Blake, Austin, and Connor had successfully destroyed my relationship and my self-worth in 10 minutes of video, but they had no idea what they just unleashed. For 2 weeks after the engagement party, Tyler called and texted constantly. He sent flowers with notes begging forgiveness. He showed up at my apartment, at my work, everywhere I went. It was just guy talk, he'd plead. You know, I didn't mean any of it, but I'd heard the sincerity in his voice on those recordings. He'd meant every word. His friend's cruelty was obvious, but Tyler's cowardice hurt worse. In the moment when I needed him most, he'd chosen his image over my heart. He protected himself instead of defending me. I stopped answering his calls. I blocked his number. I returned his ring by mail with no note. Then I started planning. See, Tyler and his friends had made one crucial mistake. They thought I was weak, predictable, someone who would Just disappear quietly and let them win. They thought wrong. I was an artist. I understood patience, planning, and the slow, careful work it takes to create something beautiful, or in this case, something that would destroy them as completely as they destroyed me. If you think you know where this is going, leave a comment below. Trust me, you have no idea. The first step in my plan was research. I needed to understand Tyler and his friends better than they understood themselves. I needed to find their weaknesses, their secrets, the things they wouldn't want exposed. I started with social media. Blake's Instagram was a treasure trove of incriminating photos. Him doing cocaine at parties, cheating on his girlfriend, with multiple women, using daddy's credit card for expensive trips while claiming to be financially independent. Austin's Facebook showed his struggles with gambling, addiction that he'd hidden from everyone. Screenshots of betting apps, desperate posts about needing money, photos from casinos when he was supposed to be studying for his master's degree. Connor's Twitter revealed his true personality, racist jokes, misogynistic comments, and cruel posts about people he claimed were friends. He thought he was anonymous, but I recognized his writing style and specific references. But Tyler was my main target. I knew him better than anyone, which meant I knew exactly how to hurt him. His biggest fear was looking weak or foolish in front of people he respected. His greatest pride was his image as the golden boy who had everything under control. Blake was the easiest target because he was the most careless. His girlfriend, Amanda, was a sweet girl who worked as a kindergarten teacher. She genuinely loved Blake and constantly posted about their relationship, clearly planning for a future together. Blake had been cheating on her for months with at least 3 different women. I had photos, text, message, screenshots, and even video evidence from his own social media posts where he forgot to crop other girls out of the background. I created an anonymous email account and sent Amanda everything, every photo, every message, every piece of evidence of Blake's infidelity. I included dates, locations, and names of the other women. 2 days later, Blake's Instagram was flooded with angry comments from Amanda's friends and family. She posted a long message about narcissistic liars and how she'd dodged a bullet. Blake went into full damage control mode, calling her crazy and trying to claim the evidence was fake. But Amanda was smarter than he gave her credit for. She'd done her own investigation and found even more evidence. Blake's reputation was in shambles within a week. 1 down, 3 to go. Austin was harder because his secret was more serious than just cheating. Gambling addiction ruins lives, and I almost felt bad about exposing him. Almost. Then I remembered the look on his face while that video played at my engagement party. The satisfaction he'd taken in my humiliation. My sympathy evaporated. Austin's parents were paying for his master's degree and giving him a generous monthly allowance. They had no idea he was blowing thousands of dollars on sports betting and online poker. He'd racked up serious debt and was getting desperate. I knew his parents well enough from college events. They were kind, conservative people who trusted their son to be responsible with their money. They deserved to know the truth. I sent them copies of Austin's betting records, screenshots of his loan applications, and evidence of him lying about where their money was going. I included a note explaining that I was concerned about his well-being and thought they should know he needed help. Within days, Austin's funding was cut off. His parents enrolled him in gambling addiction counseling and moved him back home where they could monitor his finances. His master's program was suspended pending a review of his academic standing. 2 down, 2 to go. Connor thought he was untouchable because his offensive posts were on an anonymous Twitter account. He'd spent years building up thousands of followers who appreciated his edgy humor. What he didn't realize was that I'd figured out his identity months earlier. Connor worked for a progressive marketing firm that prided itself on diversity and social justice. His boss, Amanda Rivera, was a Latina woman who'd hired Connor based on his polished interview and fake progressive persona. She had no idea what he really thought about women and minorities. I compiled months of Connor's worst tweets, racist jokes about his cow. I cross-referenced them with his work schedule and company events to prove he was tweeting during work hours. Then I sent everything to Amanda Rivera with a detailed explanation of how I'd connected the anonymous account to Connor. I included his writing samples from college, specific references to company projects, and even photos he'd posted that showed his work computer in the background. Connor was fired within 24 hours. The company issued a public statement about not tolerating discrimination. Connor's career in marketing was, effectively over before it started. 3 down, 1 to go. Tyler was the most important target, so I saved him. For last. I wanted him to watch his friends' lives crumble and wonder when his turn would come. I wanted him to feel the anxiety and powerlessness I'd felt that horrible night. Tyler's greatest asset was his reputation, at his job, with his family, and our social circle. Everyone saw him as the responsible, trustworthy guy, the one who had his life together, who made good decisions, who could be counted on. But I knew the truth. Tyler was a fraud, who'd built his image on lies and manipulation. He cheated on tests in college while tutoring other students in the same subjects. He'd lied on his resume about internships and experience. He'd stolen credit for other people's work ideas at his job. Most importantly, he'd been emotionally unfaithful throughout our entire relationship. Not just the physical cheating his friends had documented, but an ongoing pattern of seeking validation from other women, while making me feel crazy for being suspicious. I had screenshots of his dating app profiles that he'd never deleted, messages where he'd flirted with coworkers and ex-girlfriends, photos of him at work events with women I'd never heard of, his hands lingering too long on their waists. But mere cheating wasn't enough. I needed something that would destroy his professional reputation too. Tyler worked at a prestigious financial consulting firm where trust and integrity were everything. His boss, Patricia Chun, had mentored him since he started as an intern. She'd recommended him for promotions, vouched for his character, and trusted him with important clients. What Patricia didn't know was that Tyler had been sharing confidential client information with his friends for months. Blake's father used the inside information for his construction business, bidding on projects with unfair advantages. Austin had used financial data to inform his gambling strategies before his addiction spiraled out of control. Tyler thought these favors were harmless, just helping friends with business decisions. But what he was doing was illegal. He was violating client confidentiality, insider trading laws, and his professional ethics obligations. I'd gathered evidence gradually over the past year, not even realizing its significance, until I started planning my revenge. Screenshots of group chats, where Tyler shared tips about upcoming municipal projects. Photos of documents left carelessly on his desk when I visited his office. Voice recordings from dinner conversations where he bragged about having inside knowledge. I compiled everything into a comprehensive report showing a pattern of unethical behavior, dating back months. This wasn't a one-time mistake. It was systematic fraud. I sent my evidence to Patricia Chun, Tyler's boss, along with copies to the State Financial Licensing Board and the Ethics Committee of his professional organization. I included a detailed timeline showing how Tyler had repeatedly violated client confidentiality and professional standards, but I didn't stop there. I also sent copies to every client whose information Tyler had shared, along with evidence of how their confidential data had been misused. Some of these were major corporations with serious legal departments who didn't take kindly to breaches of trust. Within 48 hours, Tyler was fired. Within a week, he was facing professional sanctions that would prevent him from working in finance anywhere in the STA. Within a month, he was dealing with multiple lawsuits from former clients seeking damages. His perfect image was destroyed more thoroughly than I'd even hoped. The local business journal ran a story about the ethics violations. His LinkedIn profile disappeared. His professional references evaporated overnight. Tyler went from rising star to industry pariah in less than 30 days. But I still wasn't finished with him. Remember that horrible video Blake, Austin, and Connor had made? The one that humiliated me in front of 50 people at what should have been the happiest celebration of my life? I'd kept a copy of everything, but I'd also made my own video. See, I'd been recording conversations with Tyler for months without him knowing, gathering evidence of his real personality. I had hours of audio where he mocked his coworkers, made cruel comments about his family, and revealed his true thoughts about our relationship. I edited together a masterpiece. Tyler's own words revealing him as petty, dishonest, and manipulative. I included his comments about me being safe and predictable, but also his cruel observations about everyone else in his life. His parents, his sister, his boss, his friends. No one was safe from Tyler's private mockery. I uploaded the video to every social media platform, tagged everyone we knew, and titled it The Real Tyler Morrison, what he says when he thinks no one is listening. The video went viral within days, not internet famous viral but viral within our social circles. Everyone we knew saw Tyler for who he really was. His family was devastated. His remaining friends abandoned him. His professional contacts wanted nothing to do with him. Tyler had made me feel humiliated and worthless in front of everyone who mattered to us. Now I'd return the favor with interest. 6 months after my engagement, party disaster, Tyler's life had completely fallen apart. He'd moved back in with his parents. After losing his apartment, he was working at a retail job while trying to rebuild his professional reputation. His friends wouldn't speak to him, not because they felt guilty about what they'd done to me, but because they blamed him for not protecting them from my revenge. Blake's relationship with Amanda was permanently over and his reputation in their social circle was ruined. Austin was still in counseling and working minimum wage jobs to pay off his gambling debts. Connor had moved to another state to escape his destroyed career prospects. Meanwhile, was thriving. Without Tyler's constant negativity and his friends' toxic influence, I'd rediscovered my confidence and creativity. My art was better than ever. I'd gotten a promotion at the gallery where I worked part-time. I'd even started dating someone new, a fellow artist who actually appreciated my passion and ambition. Tyler tried to contact me several times during those months, but I never responded. What could he possibly say? Sorry for humiliating me. Sorry for letting his friends destroy the happiest moment of my life. Sorry for choosing his image over my heart when I needed him most. Some betrayals can't be forgiven. Some people don't deserve second chances. A year after everything happened, I ran into Tyler at a coffee shop downtown. He looked tired, older, defeated. When he saw me, his face lit up with desperate hope. "Lizzie," he said, approaching my table. "Can we talk, please?" I looked at him calmly. The man who'd once made my heart race now inspired nothing but mild curiosity. "What about us? About what happened?" "I know I I corrected. "The man I thought I was marrying never existed. You were always this person, you just hid it better back then." He stood there silently, finally understanding that some bridges once burned can never be rebuilt. I gathered my things and stood to leave. "I hope you become a better person someday, Tyler, but that's no longer my concern." As I finished telling this story, 3 years have passed since that terrible engagement party. Tyler is still struggling to rebuild his life and reputation. His friends have all moved on to different cities, their friendship permanently damaged by the consequences of their cruelty. I married more last spring in a small ceremony surrounded by people who truly love and support us. No revenge plots, no toxic friends, no humiliation, just pure joy and celebration. My art is thriving and I recently had my first solo show at a major gallery downtown. The family that matters to me now is the one I chose. His wonderful parents who treat me like a daughter, my best friend, Chloe, and my own parents who stood by me through everything. We're planning to have children soon and I can't wait to raise them with the values Tyler never understood. Loyalty, honesty, and treating people with genuine respect. Sometimes people ask if I regret my revenge, if I feel guilty about destroying Tyler and his friends so thoroughly. The answer is simple. They chose to humiliate me publicly, to mock my feelings and to destroy what should have been one of the happiest days of my life. They chose cruelty over kindness. I simply chose consequences over forgiveness. Have you ever had to choose between revenge and forgiveness? What would you have done in my situation? Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more stories about standing up for yourself and never settling for less than you deserve. Remember, some people will show you exactly who they are. Believe them the first time.